Hello everyone, I'm gonna read you all this story. It is called Paddington and the Busy Bee Carnival. Let's begin our story. One day Paddington's friend Mr. Gruber took him on a surprise outing to a part of London known as Little Venus. Little Venice. It is called Little Venice because it's by a canal, he explained, and every spring they hold a big carnival. Boats come from all over the country to take part in the celebration. Paddington always enjoyed his days out with Mr. Gruber. He waved as one of the boats went past. All the people on board waved back at him. "I've never been for a ride on a camel before," said Paddington. "Who knows?" said Mr. Gruber mysteriously. "Perhaps you will before the day is out. But first of all, we must see what else is happening. We don't want to miss anything important." He pointed to a board showing all the different events. But there were so many, Paddington didn't know which to try first. "How about the Busy Bee Adventure Trail?" suggested Mr. Gruber. "You have to find as many things as possible, beginning with the letter B." Hmm. Paddington thought that sounded like a very good idea, especially when Mr. Gruber told him the first prize was a free boat ride for two. "Bears are good at trails, Mr. Gruber," he explained. Look around, he could already see lots of things, beginning with the letter B. Apart from B for board, there was a boy blowing bubbles, a man eating a bagel, and another with a broom, a barbecue, and a lady selling bananas. There were boats everywhere and lots of balloons. There was even a man playing the banjo in the band. After Paddington had finished writing them all down, he and Mr. Gruber set off along the canal. In no time at all, Paddington had added 5 other items to his list. First, there was B for bridge, and then blackbird, buttercup, blossom, and butterfly. They hadn't gone very far when they saw a lady feeding some ducks. She was wearing a bonnet, a blouse fastened at the neck with a brooch, and around her wrist she wore a bracelet. When she saw Pennington, she smiled and said, "Will you like some?" "Thank you very much," said Pennington. He wrote down bag and bread. He then raised his hat politely and said, "Busy Bee Adventure Trails make you hungry." This is this is a sort of day out I like, Mr. Gruber, said Pennington, announced as he took a jar of marmalade from his suitcase and began making a sandwich. Ahem, Mr. Brown? Mr. Gruber gave a cough. I think you were really meant to give the bread to the ducks. Before Pennington had time to reply, there was a loud buzzing noise, and something landed on his marmalade. Pennington gave the object a hard stare before adding B to his list. Next, they came upon a man fishing. "I think you should lucky, Mr. Brown," Mr. Gruber. He waited patiently while Pennington wrote down box, followed by Barrett, beard, belt, buckle, boots, bucket, and basket. "Would you like to have a try?" asked the man. "You can use some of my worms if you like." Peyton thought that was a very good idea, but first he wrote down B for bat. Sorry, it was bait. "If you're going in for the busy bee competition," said the man, "you should watch out. There's a boy following you, and I think he's up to no good." Pennington was about to say, "Thank you," when he felt a tug on the fishing line. "I think it might be too big to go in my jar, whatever it is," he exclaimed. "It feels like a W for whale." "I'm not sure you'll find any whales this far inland, Mr. Brown," said Mr. Gruber tactfully. All the same, to be on the safe side, Mr. Gruber tied some rope around his friend. "Strike me pink," the fisherman said. "It is a bicycle." Pennington was most disappointed. "Never mind," said Mr. Gruber. "At least it is another word for your list." Shortly afterward, they came upon a stretch of water with high banks and trees on either side. Paige decided to have a go at riding the bicycle, but he soon discovered why it had been thrown away. I think I better hold the other end, Mr. Gruber. Yes, pointing to the rope still tied around his waist, in case I fall in the canal. Mr. Gruber was about to explain that if he did that, there would be nothing for anyone else to hold on to when he saw the look on Peyton's face. Is anything the matter, Mr. Brown? He asked. I think we're being followed by a bee for Bush, Mr. Gruber. His Paddington. Come back, shouted Mr. Gruber, whoever you are. Meanwhile, Pennington added binoculars to his list. While he was riding, a boat went past, and one of the passengers had a baby on her lap. She was feeding him from a bottle. The baby was wearing a bib, and his sister was holding a ball. Mr. Gruber sat down by the water while Pennington added up his list. Altogether, with the bank and brambles next to Mr. Gruber, he had 41 things beginning with the letter B. Mr. Gruber, look at his watch. I think it is time we got back, Mr. Brown, he said. We don't want to be late for the judging. Good luck, called the fisherman as they went past. We shall be cheering you on, said the lady, feeding the ducks. We should be cheering you on. Has anyone collected more than 40 beans? Called the judge. I have, cried Pennington, waving his piece of paper excitedly. I got 41. So have I, came a voice from nearby. Mr. Gruber looked over the boy's shoulder. This list is exactly the same as young Mr. Brown's, he said sternly. You must have been copying it, word for word. Oh dear, said the judge. We can't have that. I am afraid I shall have to stop the contest. It's all right, Mr. Gruber, called Pennington. We won. I thought of another bee. That gives me 42. Hmm. Fancy nearly forgetting the most important item of all, said Mr. Gruber, as they set off on their boat trip. What made you think of it? I saw my reflection in the water, explained Pennington. Mr. Gruber nodded. It is often the hardest of all to say things that are right under your nose, he said. It is if you're a bee for bear, agreed Pennington. Bears have very long noses. It was dark by the time Pennington and Mr. Gruber arrived back, and the fireworks had already started. Mr. Gruber bought a packet of sparklers And as they stood on the bridge to watch, Paddington joined in with his own displays. With his sparkler, he waved. Thank you, Mr. Gruber, for a lovely day out. In the excitement, the only person who noticed was Mr. Gruber himself. But that was really all that mattered. If you ask me, Mr. Brown, said Mr. Gruber as they made their way home, the nicest bee of all is yet to come. I think I know what that is, said Paddington sleepily. It's B for bed. And that is the end of our story. I think what's really most important that we learn from this story is that Paddington really had a fun day out at the carnival with Mr. Gruber. But what Paddington was learning or finding new words, finding the words, finding things that start with the letter B. Like, for example, boat, bicycle, or even himself as a bear. He saw his own reflection. But I think what's really most important about that story is that you always, well, he had a lot of fun being out with Mr. Gruber. And yet, he still had fun. He made new friends, including that, well, not the boy. He did cheated on the, the contest. But the one thing that Pennington did was amazing is that he never gave up the contest. Is that right, Snaily? Well, Pennington was doing all the hard work all by himself. And that little boy, well, was following him everywhere, copying every word that Pennington has wrote on his notebook. But why was the boy following him? You know, doggy? Well, it's because Paddington is so smart. Maybe the boy was not very smart. Maybe he didn't know what things that starts with the letter B. Maybe that's right. Like, what animal was Paddington? Which animal was he? Well, B is for the animal named bears. And Paddington was a bear. Bears! And yet, he won a competition. Well, how many words were you supposed to find with the letter B? Well, more words. But he found 42 and he won the contest. And how did he win? Because he saw his own reflection on the water while they were on the boat. On a canoe. The same thing as boat. But the thing is that Paddington had fun with Mr. Gruber. Yes, they really enjoyed their time together as best friends. At the carnival. Well, one more thing that you guys should tell the boys and girls at home. If you have a best friends that will like to do fun stuff with you, maybe you guys could do something creative together. See, that way you won't feel bored. Maybe we go to the movies, or go to the park, or go to the beach, or go some fun places. Even do some fun activity adventures, like fighting things that start with the letter B or letter A, or do some drawing, or do some other stuff to do together. Yes, and always have a good time with your friends. or your family. And never, ever give up on having fun. That's right. Including never give up on your best friends. Because they're always there for each other. Yeah, that is true. Well, look at the time. Good night, everybody. Good night, everyone. We love you all. Stay safe and eat healthy. Good night, everyone. I need to get some. Don't snore like again. Well, what can I say is that Paddington had fun with his friend, Mr. Gruber, because that's very important. See, boys and girls, it's like I said yesterday. The important thing is that to do like going outside and play or do some fun activities at in your yard or any places that you go with your friends or your family. Always remember the things that matter the most, and that is having fun with your pals, your friends, your family, your parents. But always remember that you never give up on them because they will never give up on you. Okay? Good night, everyone. I love you all. Stay safe. Buenas noches. Masalama. Good night. Tomorrow, I'll do a fast story time. Well, not really. I don't know. A good story, okay? Good night, everybody. Love you all.